Welcome to the first lesson of our World War I series. On this channel, we will take you on a journey through the most significant events and moments of the Great War. Today, we begin with the event that sparked it all, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria on June 28, 1914. This fateful day marks the beginning of one of the most devastating conflicts in human history. But it was not just an isolated event, it was the culmination of a complex web of political, economic and social factors that had been brewing for decades. Join us as we unravel the mystery behind the assassination and discover how it set off a chain of events that would change the world forever. The Great War was not just a military conflict, it was a war that reshaped the world and changed the course of history. This is just the beginning of our journey, so fasten your seat belts and get ready to learn the true story behind World War I. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria and his wife, Sophie, were visiting Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Archduke was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and his visit was seen as a symbol of the empire's control over the region. However, the visit was not welcomed by all. Bosnia and Herzegovina had been annexed by the Austro-Hungarian Empire in 1908, and many Bosnian Serbs resented this. They wanted to unite all the South Slavs under one country, independent of Austria-Hungary. A group of Bosnian Serb nationalists, known as the Black Hand, saw the Archduke's visit as an opportunity to make a statement. On the morning of June 28, the Archduke and his wife were riding in an open car through the streets of Sarajevo. As the car turned onto Franz Josef Street, a 19-year-old student named Gavrilo Princip stepped forward and fired 2 shots. The first missed its mark, but the second hit the Archduke in the neck and Sophie in the abdomen. Both died within minutes. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the spark that ignited the powder keg of Europe. At the time, the major powers of Europe were divided into 2 alliances, the Triple Entente, which consisted of France, Russia, and Great Britain, and the Central Powers, which consisted of Germany and Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary, with the backing of Germany, declared war on Serbia, which was supported by Russia, France, and Great Britain. The war soon spread, engulfing the entire continent and eventually drawing in countries from around the world. The war was characterized by trench warfare, where both sides were entrenched in a series of interconnected trenches that stretched from the English Channel to the Swiss border. Conditions in the trenches were terrible, with soldiers living in mud, rats, and lice. Millions of soldiers were killed or wounded in these trench battles. The war also saw the introduction of new weapons, such as tanks, submarines, and aircraft. These new weapons would change the nature of warfare forever. The war finally came to an end in 1918, with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. This treaty imposed heavy penalties on Germany and is often seen as one of the main causes of World War II. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand may have taken place in a small city on the edge of Europe, but its impact was felt around the world. It was the spark that ignited one of the deadliest conflicts in history and changed the course of the 20th century. The assassination was not just an act of murder but an act of political violence that led to the outbreak of the World War I, which was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. In conclusion, the assassination of Archduke Francis Ferdinand was a key event that led to the outbreak of World War I, which lasted 4 long years and claimed the lives of over 16 million people. It was a war that changed the world forever, redrawing the map of Europe and leading to the collapse of empires. The assassination was not just an isolated event, but it was the result of a complex web of political, economic, and social factors that had been brewing for decades. The Austro-Hungarian Empire's control over Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the desire for independence among the South Slavs, were just a few of the underlying causes that led to the assassination. The political leaders of the time, such as Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, and King George V of Britain, were unable to prevent the slide into war. The old system of alliances and diplomacy that had kept the peace in Europe for decades was no longer enough to prevent war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand marked the end of an era, and the start of a new one characterized by war and conflict. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was also significant because it marked the first time that a member of a royal family had been assassinated in over 100 years. The act of killing a royal figure was seen as a shocking and unprecedented event that further contributed to the escalation of tensions in Europe. In addition, the assassination had significant consequences for the individuals involved. Gavrilo Princip, the assassin, was arrested, tried and convicted for his role in the assassination. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, where he died of tuberculosis. The other members of the Black Hand were also arrested and tried, some receiving life sentences. The impact of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was felt not only in Europe but around the world. It led to the outbreak of World War I, which was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history and had a profound impact on the world for decades to come. The assassination serves as a reminder of the dangers of extremism and the devastating consequences that can result from the actions of a few individuals. In short, the assassination of Archduke Francis Ferdinand of Austria on 28 June 1914 was a significant event that led to the outbreak of World War I, one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. It was a result of a complex web of political, economic, and social factors, and it marked the end of an era characterized by peace and diplomacy, and the beginning of a new one characterized by war and conflict. And so, concludes our first lesson on the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and its impact on the outbreak of World War I. We hope you have gained a deeper understanding of the event and its significance in history. This was just the beginning of our journey through the Great War. In the coming weeks, we will delve deeper into the causes, events and aftermath of the war. We'll examine the political and economic factors that led to the outbreak of war, the battles and tactics that define the conflict, and the impact it had on the world. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for our next lesson. Thank you for joining us on this journey through World War I.